say hello to the camera? Want to say hello to the camera? This is a good boy. Yeah. Yeah. Good boy. Okay, so the video today is about this green patch of wild onions. And the question is, are wild onions safe to eat? Chevy, you gonna help me on this video here today? And I have a lot of wild onions that are in patches, not too bad. But the last thing you want is obviously it growing in your pastures. But you can't really prevent that unless you go non-organic with your farmland. And I have everything around here organic. So if I do find wild onions, I want to pull them. I want to get them, but I don't want them to go to waste. There's going to be some good onions in here that are really tasty. Yes, they're wild onions, and I've heard all my life, you have too, don't eat wild onions, that they're poisonous. That's not true. There's actually a poisonous plant that looks very close to a wild onion, but it's not a wild onion. These are wild onions for sure, and I can tell the difference, and I'll share that difference with you a little bit later in the video. Anyway, this is Jeff from Welch Family Homestead, and welcome to my channel. So I'm going to dig a few of these up, and I'm going to show you this variety of wild onion so you can kind of see how they're growing. And I want you to see the entire plant. These are beautiful wild onions. I'm just going to pull a few. These are going to be very, very tasty on a salad that I'm going to make me later. And at the same time, I want you to be comfortable with what you're pulling from the ground, because I don't want you to pull something that's poisonous. I want you to pull something that's good for you. And these are actually very tasty. They're wild. They have not been planted. These are all just natural wild onions. And yes, I am getting my hands dirty. These are all growing within the roots of the grass. Got two that time. You're absolutely gonna love. Oh my goodness, these smell so good. I wish you could smell what I'm smelling right now through your phone or through your computer. And I'll stop right there and bring you closer so that you can see what I have. I want you to notice, first of all, the tops. These tops are more in a tubular shape where the leaf has folded around. Every one of these represent another layer around the onion. Onion grows in layers, as you know. Look how beautiful these bulbs are. These are gorgeous wild onions. I have them growing by the millions here on the property. And I do plant onions in the garden. But these here are perfect for a salad, or perfect with your favorite dish. If you want to cook with them, if you want to eat them raw, you can. Let me show you this. Onions they produce both sexually and asexually. Let me explain that. They have a bulb, and from the roots, this is one that's producing the second onion asexually as it's expanding with the root here. You see this new onion coming up? Let me pull it away. This is a new onion. I have a big dump truck going up the road, you can hear it. This is a new onion that was asexually producing from this other one. There's actually another one on here too. As you can see, there's another one as well. So they propagate each other. They actually expand from the roots, which is why you're seeing it in a bunch like this. It's expanding from the roots. Where you see clumps, they are expanding from the roots. But they also expand sexually, where they actually have a flower stem that comes up and it blooms, and that creates seeds, and they dump those seeds and create new onions that way as well. Now, I'm just going to throw these back in the dirt so they'll keep growing, and we'll make sure that we have some more later. But actually this is in the pasture area, so I'm going to clean these out, because any animals that eat on these wild onions, especially if you're getting any milk from those animals, you're going to have an onion taste to your milk, and that's the last thing you want, is either for a cow or a goat to that you're milking to eat wild onions, because they love these tops. And these tops are making the greatest scallion type tops, the cut up greens. I usually cut them off about right here. I clean off the root ball. Let me just clean one up and I'll show you exactly how I would do it. So what I typically do is I'm going to cut the root portion off like this right here. Just like that. I'm going to pull some of these older skins off at the very bottom and create a good clean onion at the bottom. Sometimes you can pull some more of that off just to clean it up a little bit. Now you're asking, how do these wild onions taste? I have to be honest with you. To me, they taste delicious. They taste just like a regular green onion. Look at this. Look how beautiful of an onion this is. And they taste absolutely delicious. Now, as I'm doing this video, these are hardy. You can walk on them, you can mow over them, what have you. I grow this area organically, and the way that I keep the weeds down, which over the last couple of years before starting the homestead here, I've had the property for a while, but I haven't kept this area up so well. So I do have some weeds growing in it. But the beauty about planting fescue in your garden is if you cut fescue with your bush hog and you keep it about so tall, it will smother out all the rest of the weeds in your garden, but it won't smother out the onions. So you'll need to pull the onions to make sure that you keep your pastures clean, especially if you're planning on eating meat that you've raised on the field here. And now obviously if you're going to harvest a steer or a heifer, what we would normally do was we would put it into a stall. We would fatten it up a little while before we slaughtered it, and any of that taste of onion that might be a little bit in its meat, then that's going to go away during the fattening process, because we're probably going to fatten up that heifer or that steer for about 2 to 3 months before slaughtering it. That way we have a good marbleization in the meat. So it doesn't really matter to me if we get all of the onions out of the pasture, so that's fine. But I do like eating them, and I'm going to harvest a few of them here today to enjoy some of these wild onions. Now that's an onion. Now you're asking what the taste is? The taste is like a typical white green onion. And with some good sliced tomatoes, some cucumbers, some lettuce. Wow, you couldn't beat it. Also, be careful with the lookalike. That is a deadly plant. Has a very similar look to them. Many of the deadly ones, and even the wild onions really too, this has green all the way down to the bottom, but many of the wild onions have a red pinkish area right in here, right above the bulb to about right here. And also the poisonous variety will as well. These are green all the way to the bottom. And the poisonous variety will also have more of a flatter leaf that's spread out, and it's like a piece of grass, and you can kind of fold it easily together. This here is more of a tubular leaf, and it smells like an onion, tastes like an onion. The poisonous variety of what we're talking about comes out of the same family to a certain point, but it is not edible, and it doesn't smell or taste like an onion. This one smells like an onion, tastes like an onion, and it is delicious because it is an onion. And most of the food that you eat, all of the food you eat, there's another 2 little more baby onions on this one. Every one of the vegetables that you eat originally was a wild vegetable. And over time, people bred them and cultivated them, bred them between different varieties to get the varieties that we have today. That makes sometimes a hybrid, which a hybrid is very difficult to plant the seeds and make them grow as good as you'd like for them to, unless you're getting them from a seed company that is actually producing seeds to be able to grow from. But if you try to regrow those from your own seeds, they've bred that out, that possibility of doing that. They have to get their seeds from their mother source. So this here is obviously not a hybrid. This is a wild variety. Grows naturally up here in the mountains. You can see it growing around the streams. You can see it growing in the sunny areas. It's not going to grow much in what I would call a heavy shaded area. It's going to need a lot of sun. And if it doesn't have the sun that it needs, it's not going to grow there. But here, I'm blessed to have more than I'll ever need. But this is a good example of nature giving us gifts. Wild onions. Hope you enjoyed the video today here on Welch Family Homestead.